Hey everybody, welcome back to Battlestar Galactica Remembered. And this is going to be a little bit of a different episode. We're not going to do props, costumes, and we're not even going to really talk about the show in and of itself. But, if you're a little beyond a casual Battlestar Galactica fan, if you're tuning in or if you're subscribing to this channel, then I think you are. I think, there's a few books, scholarly books, that's the kind of the topic that we're going to be talking about here today, about our favorite show, Battlestar Galactica. And, back in the day, you would get maybe the little fanzine thing, or Starlog magazine, or that's how you would find out about anything related to the show. There wasn't anything like the internet, of course. And today, of course, we live in the information age. You can just type into your favorite search engine and get a whole bunch of information. And I think to some degree we've lost the idea of scholarly books. But there have been several scholarly books put out over the years, and most of them have been within the last 20 or 25 years. And so today, I'm just going to kind of clue you in on some of these books. I get a lot of my information from them, and they're just a great read too. And like I said, if you are a good Battlestar Galactica fan, you gotta have some of these books on your bookshelf. And so the first one that we're going to start out with, and this one goes back to the day of the actual show, and that's this one here, the official Battlestar Galactica Scrapbook. And it came out way back then. It's Grosset and Dunlap. Came out, price was $6.95 back in the day. And you could probably get one still pretty cheap. These are available. And they have a bunch of, black and white photos of our favorite stars and all that kind of stuff. Although I do believe there's a little section, I think somewhere around here. Yeah, they have some color photos as well. Not too many, but there are. And so this is a good one. And what's really interesting about it, it tells you a lot of the production as they're making. But what's really interesting about it is that it has photos. You know what the only photos are in this scrapbook? Saga of a Star World, Lost Planet of the Gods, and Gun on Ice Planet Zero. Yes. Why is that? Well, as you know, right, if you're a Battlestar Galactica fan, because those were the first 3 episodes that were filmed for the miniseries. And then they kind of switched it, and they switched the order. And so that's why this scrapbook, which was put out back in 1978 or early 79 here, let me look briefly. Yes, it says 1978. So it was put out right when the show pretty much came out, and all the pictures are those 3 episodes. Very interesting. Why? Because that's what was going to be the original miniseries. So this is a good one. You can get that, and you can find it, I think, relatively cheaply on the used market. The Battlestar Galactica Scrapbook by James Nealand. Okay, so that's the first one. Now, and that one came out again in 1978. Excuse me. All right. Now we fast forward about 20 years. And in 1999, the first of the real kind of scholarly books came out. And I got this one right when it was released. And it is this one right here. An Analytical Guide to Television's Battlestar Galactica by John Kenneth Muir. And this one came out again in 1999. And it is a very nice book. Obviously it's 20-something years old by now. But he gets into, the behind the scenes. Now, this one's a pure, hardly any pictures in this one. It is pure, narrative and so forth. He gets into the behind the scenes, the production, kind of like what we talk about here on the show. And then the cool thing about this one is that he gets into a complete episode guide. And that's the real cool thing about these books, is that all of them do have episode guides. And what I always like to do is I'll read through the episode guide, and then watch the show, watch that episode. And so it really kind of, brings it to life a lot better. But this is a good one. He calls Battlestar Galactica a guilty pleasure. Okay. And, yes, taking into account its foibles, the fact that it was rushed into production, and that, you had some episodes that weren't the greatest, right? Because they had to rush them and that sort of stuff. But he also praises it where praise is due. And when it was hitting its stride, like episodes like The Living Legend and War of the Gods, it was one of the best shows around. It was awesome. Those are your favorite episodes of the whole show. And so this is a good one, right? So if you do not have this one, again, it came out in 1999, John Kenneth Muir, An Analytical Guide to Television's Battlestar Galactica. Gotta have this one on your shelf. This is a really good one. Still available, by the way. It's gone through an update. I think the ones that you can get now, this is the first edition hardcover. You can still get it. I think an update was put out in 2005, and you can still get that one, right? So that's the good news. All right. Next book is this one right here. Now, this one's going to be a little more difficult, at least in this edition. This is the unofficial Battlestar Galactica companion, and it was authored by David Criswell and Richie Levine. It actually features a foreword by Glenn Larson and an introduction by Richard Hatch. So this is a little more, it was almost, this was kind of self-published to some degree, because there's no publication, imprint books, and so this one is very similar. They go through a lot of the behind the scenes, a complete episode guide, not only of Battlestar Galactica, but also Galactica 1980 as well. And what's really neat about this one is that they actually get into like other variations of Battlestar, like the Reimagined series. It also gets into, like I said, Galactica 1980. It also has chapters dedicated to what was going to be the new Battlestar Galactica, which is going to be a continuation. It's the Tom DeSanto, Bryan Singer version, which, by the way, I'm going to have a whole episode devoted to that. It also covers Richard Hatch's Second Coming trailer and his idea for a Battlestar continuation. So this one's pretty good. Now, I said you can't really find it in this specific edition. I'm not sure because I don't have it, but there is one out there by these authors, but it also includes the Reimagined series, the Sci-Fi Channel Reimagined series, and it still has, I believe, the same name. I do not have that edition. What they may have done is mixed this one with like a more expanded Reimagined series with it, but I think it carries the same information. But again, I'm not sure. This one in this edition is very, very difficult to come across. I've only seen like one out there, and it was well over $100. So is it worth that price? Well, no. But if you want to get the other version, you might be able to get the other version, and it's readily available. So again, really good stuff. It has a lot of behind the scenes and the episode guides, which are really fun to do, right? To look through and all that. Okay, the last of our scholarly books is much newer. That one, by the way, originally came out in 2003, and it was updated, I think, a few years after that. But all right, now the last one that I think is worth your time and your money is this one here. It's called By Your Command. And this is volume 1. They do have another volume dedicated to the Sci-Fi Reimagined series, but volume 1, as you can see there by the number on the spine, this one is dedicated to the original Battlestar Galactica. It's Alan Stevens and Fiona Moore, By Your Command. And so this one is also really good too. They're out of the United Kingdom, so they have a slightly different look at it. But they also include a complete episode guide to Battlestar Galactica, as well as Galactica 1980. And the real cool thing about this one is that they really did a lot of script studies, early versions of scripts for each episode. So it's really cool. If you really want to get into the behind the scenes of each episode, they give it to you with early scripts and how even individual stories got changed and that sort of stuff. And it's really cool. And not only that, the really cool aspect about this book is that they also give synopses of unfilmed scripts, which is really neat. They have a whole section of all kinds of unfilmed scripts, not only for Galactica, but also Galactica 1980, believe it or not. So that is really cool. This one's still being published. You can get it for, I think, like $12 to $15. It's not very hard to find. So again, By Your Command, Volume 1 by Stevens and Moore. So that's them. Those are the scholarly books that have been put out over the years. The majority of them since 1999, as I showed you there, those 3 books that were put out. And if you want to know everything about Battlestar Galactica, for the most part, you can get those. They are fantastic books. Awesome for Battlestar Galactica fans to have on their shelves. And so, like I said, they're a lot of fun read. I couldn't put it down. You know, I just started reading. I just couldn't put it down because I love reading about the show. And so I thought I would bring that to you all in case you've never seen them or heard of them, or if you've heard of them but never bought them. Now's the time. Go out there, get you a copy. They're not very expensive for the most part. and have a great fun reading through those, because they're just awesome, right? Behind the scenes stuff. You just normally don't find that kind of stuff anymore. Yes, you can find it online, but it's always nice to have it in a nice printed copy for yourself, right? So that's what I've got for you. Battlestar Galactica, scholarly books here on Battlestar Galactica Remembered. Long live Battlestar Galactica, and I will see you in the next video.